clinching their ticket to the finals for the first time in 27 years. The Cavaliers find themselves in uncharted waters. They're down 3-0 in the series, something no team has ever come back from, as everyone pretty much knows. We've said it a million times. Now, the Knicks beat the Cavs 121-108 in Game 3. They've won 10 straight playoff games, but Cavs coach Kenny Atkinson says doesn't matter. Listen.
Analytically, I think we've won the I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. There's like an expected score, and we won 2 out of the 3. And I know you're looking confused, but there is really, if you believe in process and all that, like, man, take that layer. Us shooting way below expected, them shooting way over. And I know no one wants to hear that. I think you guys like hearing it. I know, general public, no one wants to hear it. Everyone's outcome based, and sure, I get that too.
Okay. Analytically, they won 2 out of 3. They won 2 out of 3 of the expected score. We heard it. Wanted to hear it like he said, but we heard it. Stephen A., your reaction to it?
That moment right there is why Kenny Atkinson deserves to be an assistant coach. Right there. Now, obviously, I'm being somewhat facetious because the man led Cleveland to a #1 seed last year. Doggy has pointed out how he was a damn good coach in Brooklyn and how Kyrie and KD should have never wanted him gone. And even though they underachieved last year in the playoffs, here they are this year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Give credit where credit is due. But for any coach to have that come out of their mouth, it's egregious. And if you remember, Doggy, you may not remember. I'm sure Wendy does. I have it on very, very good authority that it was a moment like that when Daryl Morey sealed his fate in Houston. They lose a playoff game to the Golden State Warriors. And he walks up to Tillman Fertitta, and he's talking, the owner for the Houston Rockets. And he, after explaining some of the things that analytically was going on, he sees, so you see, we really, really won. They lost a playoff game. And he said, you see, we really, really won. See, that's the kind of nonsense that has invaded the sport. We are, and this notion to the world of analytics, to all the analytic geeks out there and stuff like that. Let me be very, very clear, Wendy. They are not to be disrespected. Numbers do matter. They play a significant role. Coaches and teams and executives do lean on it, as well they should. But looking at Wendy and Doggy, what's important to be said, let's stop acting like this is new. Pat Riley was using analytics in the 80s and the 90s. He would tell you that. It's not new. The use of it. What's new is the focus that has been placed on it in terms of justification for hiring certain dudes to run your franchise. Because they speak a language as it pertains to numbers and data and stats, etc., that makes the owners feel like they grasp an understanding of it because that's their lane. And so you hire people who are somewhat like-minded, that speaks your lingo, that's essentially an extension of you, and you get them to run your organization. And you weed out brilliant basketball minds who pay attention to eye test, instincts, and actual results that really, really matter in the grand scheme of things. People like him give you the impression, meaning Coach Atkinson, to a stronger degree of Daryl Morey in them. Whether you like it or not, here's the problem. They give you the impression that as long as the numbers say something, they're good. You are down 3-0 in a conference finals. You walked in 4 games away from a championship appearance. And now you're on the verge of getting swept. And what comes out of your mouth is that we really did well the 2 out of the 3 games. Analytically, see, that's the kind of stuff that if you certain owners, not every owner, but certain owners out there, Wendy, you know I'm telling the truth. And Doggy, if you're honest about it, you know the coaches you've spoken to. You know I'm telling the truth. Owner out there, not all, but there's some out there that would have the pink slip ready for him the second they lose tonight, just because of stuff like that. You can't say that. You just can't.
So in this series, you remember after game 2, Josh Hart had this amazing game, shot the beautiful shot. He was left open by the Cavs, and they shot him out. And he quoted Jay Wright, his coach at Villanova, and he said that analytics are like a lamppost. You can lean on it when you're drunk, but it can't get you home. And then you've got Kenny Atkinson, and he was answering a question, just for full context. He was answering a question about why the Cavs should have hope in this series. And he was saying, well, because of this. And this is the thing about analytics, and this is what Jay Wright and Josh Hart are talking about. You can't build in the fact that the Cavs have dead legs. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet. Like, they can look at the stat sheet and say, boy, our 82 game averages versus these averages and our open shots, we should be much better. But the Cavs played 14 games in the first 2 rounds, and the Knicks played 10. And that 4-game difference is making all the difference in the world right now. The Knicks are playing beautifully, but the fatigue on the Cavs' legs is enormous. And I also remember something I'll never forget. And I think this comes into play in every playoff series. It may not come into play when there's draft picks or conference signings, but it comes into play in most playoff series. And that was what Kevin Durant said coming into the 2024 Olympics. And everybody was saying, well, all these teams like France and Serbia and whomever, they had all this great chemistry, all these years they'd played together. And Durant looked at the camera and said, how's that going to help you when you're guarding Steph? And the answer was it couldn't. And there's no spreadsheet that's going to bail the Cavs out right now, even though I understand what Kenny was trying to do.
I mean, that to me is, on top of his disaster in game 1, that's a rough one for Atkinson. He's had a rough series. And I'm a big Kenny fan. Northport, Long Island, he's had a rough series. He horrendously coached the last 7.5 minutes in game 1. Analytics doesn't win, talent does. And I don't buy Brian's point about dead legs. How come the Canadians don't have dead legs? They played 2 Game 7s on the road in the NHL, and they play every game, 82 games. They played 2 Game 7s on the road in the NHL, had no days off. They won Game 7 in Tampa, Game 7 in Buffalo, and they should be 2-0 up on Carolina, who played 8 games in the first 2 rounds. How come the Canadians don't have dead legs in this series? You would think that would motivate Cleveland, the fact that they were tested in that situation with 7 games. And the dead legs didn't bother the Cavs in the first, 38, 39 minutes, 40 minutes in game 1. What screwed him up is they didn't know what they had. Atkinson did a terrible job. That's what screwed him up. And plus, Mitchell didn't take the ball and score a couple of baskets. They missed 4 free throws. That's what lost the game. And listen, he sounds like David Stearns, the Mets general manager. Well, you know what? I got Simeon. I got Soto. I brought Peralta in. We did run defense. I got this guy playing this position. I helped my defense out, and I got Bichette. I did all these things, and the Mets are 15 games under 500. Okay. Analytics does not win. Players do.
Let me explain this from maybe a female perspective. These are called excuses. Okay, that's what this is. We're using all these analogies. They're just excuses. That's all they're called. Go ahead.
You can say that, Shay, and you may be right. The problem is that it's not excuses when you're this way from the opening week of the season. These analytic dudes live on this stuff, and it's like, it's a problem because real basketball minds are being weeded out. They're having to defer to what we affectionately call the geek squad. And I'm not being insulting in any way, because I understand that coaches do, and executives and teams overall do use analytics, and they need to use analytics. But you do have some people, just like in the world of politics, you got people on the fringes that are just extreme on both sides, such as the case in basketball. You got a situation